I'm worried that investors might think this is the big 5G moment, but because the networks aren't ready, maybe it comes halfway through this cycle or even next cycle, but you've got to buy. Why?
So, John, those are excellent points. And stepping back, though, the way I think about it is who's better at managing hype than Apple? And when you think about the hype for 5G and what faster wireless connection speeds can mean to consumers, I think that sets up incredibly well. You bring up a great point, though. The networks may not be ready for prime time for an extended period of time. It may be a limited experience right now to the major cities and even select portions of major cities. And it may not be available broadly across the U.S. either ever or outside of major cities for a couple of years. But I think the hype cycle sets up beautifully for Apple.
So given that, and given this pandemic that we're in right now, what are the most important features for Apple to hit a home run on? Do you think this is a screen cycle, a camera cycle, video conferencing? What for this phone?
Of the choices you gave me, I would say video conferencing. So I think that the beauty for Apple is an iPhone on a faster network sells itself. But I think Apple can say, you're working from home, you're learning remotely. Wouldn't it be nice to use an iPhone and to not have your internet interrupted on a Zoom call because you're on a 5G network? So I think that video conferencing, video in general, watch Apple TV Plus in addition to Netflix on your 5G iPhone. I think that's going to be a very compelling selling point for the company.
Tom, in terms of pricing structure, is the betting that directionally pricing and ASPs go higher in an effort to protect margin?
Carl, great question. And I think last year the surprise was that they were much more, they didn't raise prices much. They were much more careful with their pricing. This year, I think they have the ability, especially on a bigger screen 5G device, to have what would be historically the highest price point for an iPhone from Apple.
So given that, how should we be thinking about unit sales, right? What is the new bar if, in fact, these things are going to be a tad more expensive?
So, yeah, great question, Carl. The way I think about it is 5G, also to John's earlier point, will set up a multiple-year cycle with unit growth for Apple, which is very important. But given that you had the SE earlier at a lower price point, Carl, to your point, maybe you won't see the robust, huge unit growth sales from day one, given the higher price points, and to John's point, the current state of 5G network build-out.
Tom, kind of larger picture-wise, the iPhone's real job is to sell networks, right? From the beginning, that is why it was subsidized. Do you think we're going to see more subsidies come back this time, or maybe some other methods at making the iPhone more affordable, because carriers really need to get people on these 5G networks that they're spending money building out? And is that going to happen this cycle or next cycle, if you think it's going to happen?
I think you make a great argument that networks need to have this unit growth and this success. Therefore, it's possible they could supplement the price. Apple, though, has put in place its own, use the Apple Card, have installments with no interest. And then I think they're talking about having, essentially an iPhone for life, potentially going for that trademark. So I think Apple has set up with the Apple Card and no interest installment payments. But I do think you make a good argument that the networks may decide to supplement the price if necessary.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.